Hey, good night, everybody. Welcome to the Real Talk Show. I hope you're all having a blessed night. I know some of y'all all about doing different things, but then there's somebody who lock in. I know some people will be watching this stream after the stream finish. So I hope you guys ready for what we have in store tonight. Tonight we have 3 people on the panel, including myself, and we have Mark Ned in the house. What's you seen, Mark?
Good night, everybody. Good night, Kyle, and the rest of the panelists. I hope that you're having a great weekend. There's been a lot of rain and a lot of things going on, but we're here to fellowship and talk and have a conversation. So share the stream with your friends, your family, and let's get to know each other. You could put your comments, questions, anything like that. So I hope you're ready.
Nice. And then we have his better half. She
Of
calls
course.
herself the better half.
I never say that, but that's the truth, though, guys. That's the truth. Good night, Facebook. Good night, YouTube. Welcome back, guys, to the Real Talk Show. We're happy to have anyone that's here right now viewing with us, and we want to encourage you all to definitely share the stream. Everything now starting off. We have a great show in store for you all tonight. We want to hear from you. Make sure and message us, communicate with us. We really want to hear from you. If you have any questions, as Mark mentioned, feel free. This is the point of this forum, right? So that we can actually communicate with you all. So, Kyle, how are we starting this off? I feel I know how we starting this off.
I don't know how we starting. How you feel we starting it off?
Trump.
Trump, that's how we started it off?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what buzzing right now.
You was not even in Harbour? No.
Nah, we came back already.
Oh, okay. What is all about that?
I think I'm gonna make him win.
I definitely think that is a defining moment in the campaign. Well, let's watch a lot
That
of
is a defining moment in America. Anyway,
For
you know,
real.
there's a ex-president they try to assassinate.
it's true. Like I don't know if JFK was in my lifetime, but when I saw that happen, that was really, it was surreal. It was almost unbelievable, and it's crazy how close that bullet actually came to killing him. I was watching a lot of cartoons, and a lot of cartoons have Trump actually as a superhero figure. They're all celebrating him.
Yeah.
It causing a lot of still even in my family we'd have different discussions. In work there's a lot of discussions, and not everybody agree with even the assassination attempt. Some people feel like it was a trick, as it was staged. So there's a lot of interesting things concerning that.
You know, maybe I see Easy Rage online saying God bless Trump.
Yeah.
And maybe
No,
online,
I
as
see
you guys
Easy
started
Rage.
flowing, maybe you guys could tell us if you're bold enough to say if this you believe you back Trump or if you do back Trump. It'd just be interesting to hear your feedback. It's not something here to, cause a debate, a political debate, if you want to call it that, right?
Carry you back in Trump.
Long time I back in Trump. That's an interesting question. Well, like Mark, I'll ask you a question, right? Like, I don't know if you wait your thoughts on Trump is.
Yeah.
But like most people, it's like maybe say, well, his character and all those kind of different things.
Yeah.
Was it how you outweigh those things in your mind?
Even talking to close family members, they talk a lot about his past, and they say he's a racist. A lot of things is be said about him. Even yesterday, somebody was telling me he used to be a Democrat and thing, but I base it on my personal life. I think people could change. I think
Right.
even because sometimes a lot of Christians tend to support Trump, and some people feel like God could never use a nasty man like that. And well, I consider myself to be a nasty man, and I feel like God could use anybody. And I think somebody as important as a US president that affects a lot of things in the world, I feel like God, to get that kind of authority, I feel God has a vested interest where that is concerned. And where Trump is concerned, I feel like God's forgiveness is there for anybody, and God sometimes see the bigger picture bigger than men see. But I feel like God have him in this position for a reason.
That strong statements are making there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
this is my personal.
And why
belief
they say
because-
that? People that say God.
True. But he could have died. He was supposed to die.
Right.
And he came out and he was saying, "I'm only here because God saved me." And he was telling the crowd, I'm not supposed to be here. And they say, "No, you're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here." And he said, "No, it's God."
I need to walk with my my laptop on so I could be on the fly pulling up videos because you know like there's if anybody has watched The View, which good luck doing that.
Yeah.
They basically say how one of the Joyce is her name. Basically say that she's a Catholic Christian.
Yeah.
And she say how he could say is God because the way he's saying is God let the man dead. So that's they're trying to say that he talking not on behalf, trying to say it's not God. If you catch where I'm coming from, no.
Yeah.
So people they spin their story how they want to suit the narrative. In other words,
And that's a good topic in terms of sometimes things happen and you say, well, this is God, but then sometimes tragedies happen and you say, well, where God was in this.
Right.
But just to stick on topic with Trump, I don't agree with everything he does. I don't think he's perfect, but there are some things that I do agree with. I think in terms of immigration, I think his policies could be very harsh, but I do think that he has generally some good ideas and policies. I wouldn't go into what it is, but I would say he's not perfect, but it's up to God.
It's up to God.
Yeah.
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 Up to
Deciding to stop saying things like he's the modern day Hitler
Right.
and these kind of things, because what they're saying is that it's so negative they feel like it affecting people in the nation that
Their
the
mindset,
hate,
yeah.
that the hate is coming to a point where they actually want to kill him. So
It has so much conspiracy theories, that because they're trying to say, well, if you watch the whole thing, like how that was so easy to happen, the police, they thought people
Yeah.
see that the people around see that this man on top of the thing before all of the, and there's like how this could happen, and they make one of it stage.
yeah,
Because in conspiracy theory thing, they say first they pull on your character, then they try to jail you. The next thing they try to do is kill you when they can't,
yeah,
So that's so much,
Yeah.
things that it happening.
yeah,
But it's just interesting to know, like, one of the things that has make me feel a little more at ease. Well, I mean, like, at ease, right? Like, with the narratives, is like, before Trump went, like, the first time he went up, remember, the first narrative was, like, you can't get this man in power with he mindset or whatever the case may be, because You don't want that man in nuclear, you know, like controlling
To
codes,
control.
different things. And like the time passed and he was maybe the best president for some years who never do
Yeah.
certain things, never had wars, and never had,
Yeah.
so like what we in today with Ukraine and all these different, never had those kind of
Yeah.
things on them. So they can't even use that as a
Use
narrative
that.
to say, well, look at his character in that kind of way, because it's not true, because he had 4 years them
Yeah.
already and they realized, well, those things never happen, you know.
Yeah.
You're always so, a matter of fact, he's one of the first presidents who went and meet presidents in,
Jong-un.
in China. You went to Russia, meet Putin. You went and there was no issues. As a matter of fact, he related to them, he talked to them, and it didn't have,
Yeah.
you know, this idea of how people try to portray him, if I catch where I'm
Yeah.
coming from now. And it's not necessarily saying whether he's this perfect human or any kind of thing like that, right? That's not that point I'm trying to make. But you know, sometimes like how I might watch it is like sometimes in seasons you need certain type of characters and you need certain
Yeah.
type of people to fight certain type of battles.
Yeah.
You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And you would see that throughout the Bible, certain people had to rise up.
Yeah.
You know, David was a man of war, but then after when certain things died down, everything, then Solomon rise
Yeah.
up, his
Yeah.
son, and you know, there was a time of peace, there was a time of prosperity, because it didn't warrant for that time anymore,
Yeah.
you know. So, but like somebody is having a conversation, like a Christian, and talking. I say, well, you know, most likely if it is, there's many aspects of David life you would not like him as a king. Reading over here, man kill him, man, wife,
Yeah.
kill him, man, take his wife, do it, and you would have been watching all that. But today he's praised as King
Yeah.
David, you know what I mean? But back then it had people who have complaints about his character, things that he did, and you'd wonder who's, you know, this man could really lead me. Are you okay?
To be honest, I just think about that. Like
What's
if
that?
I was Uriah,
Yeah.
how I would feel and the complaints I would have. Yeah, something I just think about sometimes, honestly.
Yeah.
From time to time.
So it's important to know that it's unique that God weighs his not really our way, and he used the foolishness of men. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, but I just find it's all this thing interesting. But if I was American, I could have voted Trump. That's just personally me. You know, and then the other side, you realize, like, when you start off saying first he was a Democrat, and
Yeah.
as he decided to go for Republican, that's when
Yeah.
the whole war break out against him, because it would have stand for certain policies. And
Yeah.
Trump is a fighter. He's a strong person. He's not going to let nobody dictate him.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons, one of my other personal opinions, one of the reasons the whole world hate him is because he's not on their agenda.
Yeah.
I think from his presidency, it's clear he's not on certain aspects of this uniting the world in that kind of way with this one world order, this one. You realize that is really where the world trying to go
Yeah.
now, and he was one of the people. So basically, he could be one of the things he could be doing buying us some more time
Yeah.
on the face of the youth, you know?
I was listening to him talk actually before I come here, and he was talking about what Biden, some of the policies where they want to even put their tanks, the war tanks, to be electric.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying as soon as he come in power, he's going to change that and repeal the different things that they want to do. And he
Yeah.
was talking about like France and different countries and the trade deal, and he was saying if things don't go the way he wanted to go, he said, well, I'll raise tariffs 100%. And he was saying he did that in the past, and it caused them to back off. He did things against Mexico. So he really, when he wants something, he say, I'll raise tariff 100%. And I could see why he could get a lot of people angry. But he really want everything to go how you want it to go for America. He really just on America.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
I mean, if you look at our country, it's clear that we have some involvement in other nations helping us out. The
Yeah.
pitch league, different things, and
Yeah.
hence the reason, you know. And you throw the world that's what happening. The BRICS, tough things trying to
Yeah.
limit. There's bigger things happening in the world that people not really focus on. Like one of the things soon Babylon could fall.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's important everybody really start to seek the Lord, read the Bible, really see the time we're living in, because there are many things happening before our eyes that, you know, I hope Easy Rage just take up the book of Revelations and read it and see prophecy and
True.
realize, you know, what is really happening in the face of the earth, because there's a lot happening, and you recognize that is not coincidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And things heading in a direction. You know, sometimes you might think, well, you know, like for me, a little older than you guys, right?
Yeah.
Eva, when you was in school, people had cell phones already? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I used to go to school,
But it wasn't obviously the way cell phones are.
It was GSM
Yeah.
cell phone and thing.
By secondary
That
school, it
Ericsson
had
and
like
thing.
Motorola. and
Secondary school, I mean,
Ericsson.
yeah.
Yeah. By
but the
secondary
point is the
Yeah.
transition within our lifespan of like knowledge and the whole world is you know the rapidly increasing
Yes.
our generation.
Yeah.
Like this in technology, everything. So you can imagine in the next 10 years what the world gonna look like, especially with AI, different
Yeah.
things, and things go ahead in that direction that we must be
Yeah.
aware of where the direction we're gonna go. But you know, like we TDMA cell phone. Hey, he's reaching about them thing.
Yeah. And it was expensive.
For real.
Expensive and a phone.
Yeah,
you
long
could
time
do-
was expensive.
send a
For
text.
real.
But
Yeah.
it's actually show you, if you also really take I think I'll just sit back. I was talking to Nikki father about that because remember obviously he older.
Yeah.
And he kind of, he would come from when they didn't even have them kind of concepts. But me personally, I grew up where it's payphone, you're going to call a girl. And
Yeah.
so my point is like, it's a whole long happen within a short space
in
of
a
time.
short space of time.
And we don't recognize right before our eyes that there's so much changing, so much. So it's
Yeah.
important. Many times in life, you take a step back and you recognize what is going to happen in the next 10 years. And you read the Bible and you
Yeah.
realize the Bible even talk about knowledge will increase in a dramatic way. All those things are actually signs of the last days, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example, right? This real, you know, I wondering if AI is gonna be, you know, I'm not saying AI, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
About wondering like if something behind it gonna be the Antichrist. What I mean is it's like, remember the Bible says the Antichrist, something is gonna happen, is gonna give him life.
Yeah.
And he's gonna the beast, not the Antichrist, the beast.
Yeah.
And he's just gonna get life. Remember one of the pursuit of man is they trying all out to figure out how to find something gonna happen, and that being is gonna get life, and the whole world is gonna worship him. He's gonna be, you know. So I was wondering if it's some form of the way it reach the AI where it's so advanced. I was wonder, I don't know, because
Yeah.
the Bible doesn't say what it is, but it just saw you know this beast, and he had the power, and he was brought to life.
Yeah.
And I just wonder like what that means, you know what I mean? And the Bible
Yeah.
say he wouldn't be attracted to
So, yeah.
yeah,
women. Yeah.
men, the women, it's just wonder like what
I mean,
what I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you think of the beast, the Antichrist most likely it will be come from a man, right? It's a man pass on in the context he born. Some the Antichrist could be living right now, playing pitch in the backyard. I just say we don't know, you know.
Yeah.
He could be our president right now or something right now, and we know it's not Trump because he'll be loved.
Yeah,
for real.
If there's one thing you know, no matter if he's a believer, you know it's not True because he's not loved.
Yeah.
The Antichrist will be loved by most of the world and he'll persuade the entire world. But it's just, you know, to see the direction they're heading in. But guys, we have some interesting topics we're going to talk about. Mark, you want to take it away quick?
Of course. You know, this topic that I felt, raised today is something that I assume many of us would have probably dealt with at some point in time in life. Maybe, hopefully not. But I guess we could kick it off with the video, if the video is available.
Got
So-
the video, I'm up on my headset.
Yeah. So you could watch the video just to start the topic off.
So guys, remember to share the stream by the time, interact, like, do something, build the algorithm first. You could put the heat face all you want. See, you could say I don't like that Indian head. Put out a heat face.
Yep.
We not hearing anything.
So how do you know if you have depression? I'm Dr. Julie and I'm going to give you a super quick rundown. So to be diagnosed with depression, you need to be presenting with at least 5 of these 9 symptoms. Number 1, persistently feeling down, low in mood or hopeless. Number 2, having little or no interest or pleasure in doing things. Number 3, disturbed sleep, either too much or too little compared to usual. Number 4, changes in appetite and weight. You might be eating more or less than usual. Number 5, fatigue and loss of energy. Even everyday tasks feel exhausting. Number 6, agitation or slowing of movements. Number 7, poor concentration or indecisiveness. You might have trouble making even the smallest of daily decisions. Number 8, feelings of worthlessness or excessive guilt over things that you might not normally feel so intensely about. Number 9, suicidal thoughts or urges. Now, all of these symptoms can come and go, but for a diagnosis, 5 or more of those symptoms need to have been present for at least a couple of weeks.
You hear this? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'm assuming that many of us probably would have experienced or went through something that brought depression. In my own words, I would say depression is like not only feeling sadness, but like a lingering feeling of hopelessness, and you don't have any kind of motivation. You could feel helpless in a situation too, like it really can't change, and because it can't change, is like what you gonna do? So you have to find some kind of way to cope. For some people, coping is the rum shop. It could be addiction. You know, there are many ways sometimes we would go about trying to deal with grief or sadness or disappointment in life. And I myself would have faced these things at one point or another. And, you know, I would say recently I had a situation that was pretty challenging. Challenged my mind, my faith, my motivation. And I really felt a bit frustrated, especially if you've been trying to, let me say there's a situation and you're trying 8 years to try and change it, and it could be anything. It could be health, it could be a relationship, it could be different things, but you're actually trying and you're feeling like it's going nowhere. How do you move forward feeling like, you know, this thing is not going to change? But before I go a little deeper into it, I would say, but you think you ever felt depressed at any point in your life?
Yeah.
You gonna share a word or two on that, or you just want to leave it at yeah?
Well, I tried to pinpoint.
And how you know you was depressed?
I mean, I don't know if it was like full on depression, like the medical type of depression, but it will have moments where you would feel, you know, you're not normal, you know, you're not yourself, you know, you're not 100. I would say my most challenging time with something like that would have been when I got married.
I was not gonna say that.
But I laughed because of what it was. But it had nothing to do with relationship. It more had, I guess it had stuff to do with more that change of going from one state to the next, and I think it came more with finances.
Mm-hmm.
I think it came more with finances from me being at a certain place financially before marriage, and then going into marriage. So not going into too much detail.
Yeah.
So should I wait? I don't know.
But
that would have been that would have been before that, honestly.
So much for real talk. You go ahead, you.
No, I mean that's as specific as it gets. And honestly, even in the moment, I don't think I even realized that, hey, these were going on here. I think is now looking back at it, that's when I'm like, okay, this did happen and I did feel this way. Because I think in the moments you're so consumed with whatever making you feel the way you feel that you don't recognize, okay, I in a state where I'm not myself. I am, well, I don't want to say depressed, but I don't know, honestly. You could probably be able to say if it was like to some extent depressed. And I think that could be one of the challenges as well with depression, that you don't recognize that you are depressed. Because if I as a human realize, okay, I'm depressed, you don't want to be depressed. You want to be happy. You want to have joy. You want to have peace. And I think because when challenges come, we consume ourselves so much with the challenge itself, we don't acknowledge or recognize, okay, before I even look at this challenge or try to fix whatever issue I'm experiencing, having, I have to get rid of this depression. I have to put off this depression. I have to truly trust God and depend on God to take this away, like hand this over to God. And I think that is one of the major or the hardest things in a depressed state to fight it, to be victorious.
Yeah.
I guess you could say over
Yeah.
depression.
I definitely think for me, the most I think I would have felt that depressing feeling too would have be in marriage. We on the same page, you had to be equally yoked, you know, so we were equally yoked, I guess. But I was joking. But what actually accelerated me feeling that way was seeing certain changes in Ava, seeing certain pressures and feeling like in part is my fault and wanting to change certain things, because like before I wasn't necessarily concerned or worried about certain things, but life drastically changed when I got married, and priorities and responsibilities and different things were very different, and I was not necessarily equipped or expecting the changes, and I didn't really have it within me to really be the person needed to deal with what I was facing, and I had to change. And one of the things for me was that sometimes you expect life to go a certain way, or you think things were supposed to happen a certain way and it didn't. And now I'm faced with a challenge that I feel like I can't change, so I'm feeling overwhelmed and want to give up. And what really helped me, I don't think anybody could have helped me, talk to me. Sometimes people would talk to me and stuff about things, but I feel like like in it, you develop certain mindsets, like trying to be vague, but like wherever you would have been disappointed, you say, well, people evil, you know, and or this is how it is out there, and you can't trust nobody, or you know, life not fair, you know. Sometimes you develop certain ways of thinking and stuff, and really what helped me to rise up would have been surrendering and realizing that I don't have the answers. I've been trying in the Bible, well, not the Bible, but Einstein say doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result is insanity. And I had to reach a place where I tried to remember when I was happy. And the only time I could ever truly remember being happy was when I first came to the Lord. That's when I truly felt happy for the first time in my life. And I was trying to remember, well, why I was happy. And, well, I was happy because, one, my name written in the Lamb's Book of Life in heaven. And I mean, it sounds like a fairy tale, but God had to give me a perspective again. I realized that this life is like a vapor. The challenges we go through is not forever. I was also happy because I felt love. I felt forgiveness. I felt like I had the salvation of God. I had God backing me. I know that I have a future with him, and I also know that God is a God could do the impossible. There's many examples in the Bible. And Moses, he parted the Red Sea. He healed the blind, raised people from the dead. Jesus walked on water. And he even rose. He himself died and rose again from the dead. We look at what he have for us, which is eternal life. A life where we never had to be sick again, where we live forever, where there's no recession. You know, there's many things. There's so many things I could list. And what happened is that in this situation, I just focused so much on the issue, or the issues that is all that was magnified in my mind. It's almost like you come up, well, for me, not necessarily for you, but it's like I became obsessed with like, every time I wake up, this thing wrong, boy. And look how long I'm trying to fix it and thing, and I was thinking about the further consequences and time wasting and how to, and I kind of lost sight of, oh wait now, God, I have a God that could probably help me. So I was lacking wisdom and vision. Still do, to a point. I don't have all the answers, but you know, God works with us. He works with you and he helps us along. So I would say I'm definitely a work in progress. But what I would say where depression is concerned is that there are situations that we will face in life where you wouldn't always have all the answers. You wouldn't always understand everything. Sometimes it could be you lacked wisdom in the past. For instance, you mightn't have planned out your life and you waste time. You didn't study. There might have been job opportunities that you didn't want to apply for. Sometimes in your, what has happened in depression, I think sometimes you get so, you feel so defeated, you shut down. And they probably had other opportunities right in front of you, but you can't see it, you can't hear it, because mentally you're not in that place where you could see. It actually, you're blinded by what it is happening. And what I realize is that the Bible says the joy of the Lord is our strength, right? And there are challenging situations that happen to us in life. Even right now, I'm going through some very challenging things that could sometimes want to make you, make you feel depressed. But there's a joy that the source of it doesn't even come from you; it comes from God. And really, I had to tap into that to really, I would say, navigate this life. And I just want to say, for anybody that is going through depression, I just want to share, something that really helped me change my perspective reading the Bible is in Hebrews. It says Abraham, it's Hebrews 11, who received God's promise, was ready to sacrifice his only son, Isaac. Even though God had told him, Isaac is the son through whom your descendants will be counted. Abraham reasoned that if Isaac died, God was able to bring him back to life again. And in a sense, Abraham did receive his son back from the dead. So one of the major guys in the Bible who is like a patriarch of faith is Abraham. And actually in that moment, Abraham was faced with a impossible situation. He waited many years to have a son. It would happen in his old age. The birth of his son was a miracle. Now he had to sacrifice his son. And he had a promise over his life that through Isaac, God is going to, bless the earth. He's going to have many descendants. And now he's going to have to kill the thing that was promised to him. He's going to see his promise die right before his eyes. And his response to it was believing. Actually, in his heart, Isaac ain't dead yet. But he done already had the faith for Isaac to be risen from the dead. And when you watch, it's a real thing that happened. A lamb was slain instead. But that was Abraham's approach to the situation. And I think the way you approach difficult situations will determine how you navigate it, if you're going to feel defeated in it or not. And it really comes down to, do I believe that God put me on this earth for victory? Do I believe that God could create a way for me? And the answer is yes. But if you don't believe that, sometimes a situation could become an idol. And idols can't move, it can't talk, it can't do anything. And if your God is an idol, you're in trouble. There's no hope. So I wouldn't lie, there are people that face some difficult things, some very difficult things, like the loss of a loved one, but I've seen in the Bible that God is not even limited by death. Moses never made it into the promised land while he was alive. But after he died, he did make it when Jesus was transfigured. We see Elisha, who had a double portion, died without the final miracle to actually make him do twice as much as Elijah did when the man in his grave, his bones brought. Elisha did a miracle when he died. So we see that God is not limited even by our own thoughts and the way that we think and the limitations of life. So I would just say what really helped me is knowing that God is not limited in the way that I think he is. And he has victory for us in ways that we sometimes might not even understand. So I'll just encourage anybody, if you are going through depression or a difficult situation, to really take a step back and look at God afresh and know that he's a present help in time of need. And he also has joy for you in the midst of the situation while you're going through it, while you don't have the answers. You know that you could trust God based on the Bible, based on his track record. And yeah, I just wanted to share that. I don't know if Kyle had anything you wanted
I
to.
just, maybe she could really comment first. I think Easy Rage say something.
Easy Rage. Easy Rage says, I know someone very close who tried God, but that belief didn't work. Then tried Zoloft and counseling, which worked. And then they went back to God. With an emoji. I'm not sure what that emoji.
Wait, what you think about that then, Mark?
That is, I would say, God could work in a lot of mysterious ways. I think God used a donkey already in the Bible to actually speak to a stubborn prophet. That's the only way he could have reached the person. The person was at that place in their life. And I would say sometimes God works with what he could work with. That person at that point in time, there was not a place where they could have believed in God, but they had faith that maybe going to counseling or as what is it? Yeah, counseling.
Zoloft is medication, yeah.
Oh, that's medication.
Yeah.
Well, look at that. I didn't know that.
But
You
he
know-
also said counseling, though. Zoloft and counseling.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he just see was going to say, Zoloft, but he didn't know. What
Yeah, I
exactly
don't know what
it was.
Zoloft is easy. Well, yeah. But I would say that, and then you say they went back. They went back to
To
God.
God, yeah.
Yeah. What is very interesting is that the person did go back to God, which I would say that is the heart. They really
Yeah.
wanted to be back there. They probably went through a situation where they didn't fully know how to navigate it or understand it. And, it had men in the Bible pop down, Elijah felt hopeless and he went in a cave, and God had to figure out something. I would say it's unfortunate that they did end up having to do that, but in my humble opinion, I feel God probably worked through the counsel and the Zoloft. But easier to say here, well, I guess I was the donkey for a little bit, and I'm glad it
He
helped
said
them.
he was the counselor.
Well, what I was saying, right, concerning the donkey is that
Mark, you know, the man just talking,
I was just going to say that's how extreme God will go. He would say, boy, you ain't willing to listen to me? Hey, I'll go use a donkey. Or even better, I would use a man named Easy Rage, or he would use different people. So thank you, Easy Rage, for being a blessing into that person's life. And look at that, you help somebody get back to God, so your reward is waiting for you in heaven.
I guess with he's saying his antidepressant, yeah.
Okay.
That's a drug that they prescribe to you. I guess like this, let me just address that first situation. I guess like some people don't understand, like, when people say they try God, they try really and truly is not we all been as believers, there are things you believe God for wanted to work out and they can make you feel a certain way. So sometimes even in some people's pursuit, and when they're going through depression, one of the things is affect your identity, how you see yourself, your value. And sometimes in that place, it's even hard to hear from God.
Yeah.
Or even hear what some of the things you need to work on, some of the things you need to change, or some of the things you need to believe. And sometimes what counseling does, it helps you open up and have a different opinion. And hence the reason sometimes you could go through with somebody talking to them. Sometimes, I give examples to sometimes we meet for people for deliverance, one of the things we end up doing is sometimes spending more time talking to them. Because sometimes it's really their belief system have them where they're at.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? So just trying God many times will work for people because even that affect is their belief system. So I give an example. Some people, they would say, well, I'm going to try God. So they start to go back to church and they start to do things. Catch what I mean? From pay my money, I'll go and do my rosary, and that is what they're doing. And they're not really, their heart not really opening to hear God's opinion about their life and hear God's. And hence the reason sometimes people have the ability sometimes to sit down and say, well, what is happening, and they talk to the person and encourage them and something. Because sometimes where they're at in their life, that's where they get here. And hence the reason, one of the things I just want to talk about, to add on to maybe some of the things you're all saying, when you're going through a depression or you're going through those things in life, I went through that many times in my life for different reasons, tabanka, all kind of different things you go through, different stages in your life. And there's different reasons why people can end up in a depressed state. Life can happen in a bad way, but then there's some situations that could happen. But then also too, a lack of growth in your life could make you become depressed because you want to achieve certain things, but you can't go beyond where you're accustomed.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for a lot of people to look around, to believe in themselves, to believe in, because they don't really have a fight in spirit. And hence the reason that there's a lot of people sometimes who come from bad backgrounds and you hear them, we could be sometimes be so happy because, and when you check, there's a lot of difficulties they had to break to be where they're at.
Yeah.
Mindsets about themselves, different things, opinions, that to fight, that to go in jobs, that to do different things, and they really had to really break off certain mindsets about themselves and discover a new phase of their life and discover who they really challenge themselves, go through. And sometimes you could be in a place in life where you're like you see and you can't see,
Yeah.
but you realize something. Like, if it is, you live life long enough, there's certain things you could discover in yourself, weaknesses, certain places you need strength, certain places you need to work on. And sometimes you reach a place where you don't take it so personal, where it is, you understand, all right, well, cool, this, and I need to deal with this. And hence the reason, even more maturing in Christ, that is where you bring a place where it is, you say, I could trust in my weaknesses, I find his strength. And I get to learn those things from God. So like the situation you're talking about with Abraham, right?
Yeah.
Most people can't do it. I can't do it. Most of the people in the room, they can't do it. The reason they can't do it, you didn't go through some of these stages in your life. Because God didn't just appear to Abraham and tell him to do that, right?
Yeah.
There are many things Abraham went through in his life where he started to believe God.
Yeah.
And he could have trusted him to be, wait, now, there's really God I hear.
Yeah.
There's really God, there's my friend. I believe he had my back. And it gets to a point where you start to get to know God in a more intimate way, where you start to really know his character and you could trust him. Because I'll give you an example, right? There's, I was explaining to somebody recently, like, you look at Moses and God, where God, when the children of Israel, basically they went to do the idols, whatever, and the fear of God came down, and started to wipe out people. And Moses ran in the middle of them. Nobody taught him it.
Yeah.
But he knew who God was. He started to discover his mercy. He started to discover his forgiveness. And he ran in the middle of it and standing between the living and the dead. Because he knew the character, who God was. And even so in our life, we go through trials and it's not really, you could watch it at the moment in your life, you could take it personal about yourself. Or you could put it to a place where you could trust God. Or you could say, you start to develop it and you realize, well, I lack this in my life. I need some wisdom. I need to learn, I lack in something here. I need to, as a skill, and you start to grow. Or you could take it where your whole life, something wrong with you, this, and yeah, it's true, something might be wrong with you, but I don't necessarily mean it's something bad. It's something you maybe need to, a skill you need to develop, a place in your life where you need to grow. And as you start to do that, well, it's because you know what's happened to many times, people, they put bandages on their life. And 10 years pass, and the bandage had to come off. And they realize within the 10 years, nothing changed.
Yeah.
And they end up back now in a next depressed cycle, like a next thing. So it's important when the Bible says things like this, we go from glory to glory, to faith, that really and truly in your life, you're challenging yourself personally, and you're growing with the Lord.
Yeah.
And hence the reason, there are a lot of people in the Bible who could have given up. Who could have,
Yeah.
let's say, watch my done. But many of them had a fighting spirit inside of them. They had a sense where, nah, I'm not going to allow these things to defeat me. God many times spoke in who the character, like Jeremiah, he told him from a young age, don't say this, do that. And he started to train him. And he realized in the latter years of his life, it helped him. Because now the Jews and different things were trying to put identity on him and say, well, God didn't say this. And he had to go through a personal battle. Because most people don't understand this, right? A prophet, a believer, or anything in your life, you are really the message. Your life is really the process. It's not the things you're going through right now in your life. I can tell you, recently I was going through a lot of things in my life. Different thoughts, how I see myself, thing. And it'd be strange that two people call me for helping the same things I'm dealing with. And I had the answers to give them. I can't explain it to you. Things that I might have never known about before, and I'll be able to talk to them and say, well, I know how you're feeling. I know how to feel like this. I know, and hence the reason the Bible also even tells us Jesus went through a lot of different things, but yet he didn't sin.
Yeah.
In his moments, he didn't doubt God and he didn't feel, but he felt at times in his life where forsaken, he felt, and he knew it was to overcome with victory. So the Bible tells us we have inside of us a spirit of victory. And it's important that we all connect to this victory inside of us, because anybody who playing competitive things, that's really what is a benchmark them in their life. If when they get lost, how they're going to recover.
Yeah.
You understand? You're going to sit down and say, well, I'm not good. Or you're going to train your body. And that's what the Apostle Paul tells us. We train our body, we do different things that we would run and not, we would win the race, that at any result, he would stand before the Lord, because there's certain things in life, you must come to a place where you realize you are not the problem, God is not the problem, there's certain limitations and you need to overcome. You understand? Yeah. So like even like with yourself, your wife, me, my wife, you could have conflicts, you could have different things. But even God puts people in your life to help you. So the Bible tells us a 3-chord is better than a 2-chord. Not easily broken. Yeah. And hence the reason it's important you have God's opinion about yourself. But also too, it's important in a marriage that both parties be able to discern where each other are at and not be a personal attack. You catch where I'm coming from now? Because if both people feeling depressed, it could have a point in time where you could have difficult conversations. And you can have personal things that are being said that you don't really believe, but just how you're feeling. Because you even feeling so about yourself. So how you can believe something about somebody else. And hence the reason sometimes it's good to have some, like your wife, your husband, be able to help you with a pillar in your life to help you believe when it is you can't believe yourself. You know what I mean? And you have certain strongholds, you have certain things. Hence the reason what a father does to a child, they put strength into them, they put in words of encouragement into them. And hence the reason most people don't even know it is to have a father or a mother in their life. And they miss certain things where people could really help them in their life. The other aspect I just want to touch on quick with that, and we move on to you, Eva, is that it's important to understand when you're going through these things. You know, a lot of things you talk about is voices, opinions. You have to recognize as well too is the devil. What I mean by that is, look in the Bible and you see Jesus. And when he went through his trying, his temptation, he went through his thoughts, it's clear he was having a conversation not with himself. And not his feelings. He was having a conversation with a devil. The devil himself, right? And you would recognize something. The more you listen to certain aspects of your life, you might understand it with actually demonic opinions and voices you're agreeing with about yourself. You understand? When failure presents itself, it's an opportunity for somebody to speak. It could either be a voice from God, it could be a voice of the devil. Who would have known all the things Job was going through was a demon watched his life and said, I want to destroy this man. You catch where I'm coming from? Who would have, you would have just think all this happening and you not understand at the point in time was a demon. And his wife came to him, not at a pillar at that point in time, and said, curse God and dead.
Some people say, oh, she never get attacked.
Well, she experienced everything. Hatcher and died too, you know.
It's true.
Hatcher. It's not like it's Hatcher and died. How finances lost.
It's true.
It's true. And she looked at it and said, but curse God, and you still believe in any Lord?
Wait.
And you would recognize that opinion and that voice was not from God. So you could have now opinions and voices that come from people, worker, co-worker, people who could see in your weaknesses and say you're stupid. You thought the girl would have like you, thought that girl would have like you. And you don't recognize sometimes it could be words that confirming that you are a loser. You catch what I mean? Confirming to you that's how you feel now. You catch what I mean? And they don't stop in the moment and address those thoughts, the opinions. And so I encourage everybody, if you're going through a tough time in your life like that, it's important you speak. It's encouraging you believe God's word. It's important to how to say this? You look at your weaknesses and figure out where it is you need to improve and change, and you don't take it personal about yourself. And I mean, we didn't get into the part of really like suicide at that depth, but I just talk about the core of like depression and the feelings, and it's important also to every situation different with the triggers, because if you lost somebody, that's something that could trigger it naturally. A depression could come on you that is not from you. If you catch where I'm coming from, that's not like the things you battle in your personal life that bring it to that place. Like I always say with finances when they get married. It's not like that situation. So everybody's situation are a little different when it comes to that. But if you want to read a couple of the questions,
we have
statements?
Spooner. Good night to you, Arlene. Arlene says, I believe the enemy attacks us in our mind and we have the power in the word to overcome. Joseph, good night to you, Joseph. Joseph says, sometimes we make life achievements an idol in our life. We become so obsessed with wanting certain things that those things become our everything, and we sometimes put God on the back burner. Do you think that God will give you something that we made an idol? Genuine question to the panel. So Joseph is intentionally asking,
what you think, Eva?
Yeah.
You think God would give you something that you make an idol?
Yeah, but I don't think God giving you it to say make this your idol. You
Right.
make it your idol after God give it to you. Because people can make quite literally any people can make a wife or a girl or a child even an idol.
Right.
It initially is a blessing from God, but you take it and make it an idol.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Yeah.
What yourself? There's a question you're
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
I think yes, he does. Sometimes God give you over to what you want. But God sees the heart. Sometimes things become an idol, I would say, due to circumstances. That we say you're a boy and your liver always giving trouble. And you need a liver. And you really wanted to live. And you've come so obsessed in wanting to get a liver, you make it an idol. And then you'll be like, it's a tricky thing.
talking about?
Why
this
you
already.
using liver?
Well, I'm trying to say that sometimes things become sometimes you have good intentions with why you want something, but then you become to a point where it don't seem to be happening, you get obsessed with it. Because it could be a man wanting to, provide for his wife or different things. So it's a tricky thing. But ideally, God, I would say, will not want to give you something that's an idol. But at the same time, I feel like a believer could actually get something that is an idol. But God would fight and try to really
So I
speak
guess
to you.
the question, I guess I speaking on Joseph's behalf, right? Would it really be God given anything?
I don't know, boy. But I feel
I think
I feel he could give you something that is, because the children of Israel, God gave them the goal and they turned that into a calf, into an idol. So I think God is willing to bless us, but sometimes we could turn what should be a blessing from God into an idol.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
because I think it can have the potential to turn into an idol, but you are the one choosing to make it an idol.
Because
it's a
Saul-
blessing.
King Saul, right? He became king, and the actually being king became an idol to him, and he started to get jealous at King David and so forth. So I don't know. Is that interesting? Thing.
Point of view or something?
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh.
what you think. You have a lot of wisdom, Kyle.
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's like, it depends on the situation.
Because Judas, money was an idol to Judas.
That's I was actually not going to
But
use
God
that.
allow him to be in that very same field that was a serious temptation to him.
Yeah, I think many times we all have a war beyond God. So the Bible says God gave us power to get wealth. So even some of the things we consider God blessing us with, is God give us the ability to get. If you catch where I'm coming from now, He give you the ability to go beyond and do whatever it is you want to achieve in life. God hire
Yeah.
back. Most people don't understand that. So I'll give you an example, right? The perfect example of that would be the first prodigal son. He went to his father and say, give me everything. And the father bless him. The father give him everything, his inheritance, and say, go
Yeah.
ahead and do what you want to do with your
Yeah.
life. He didn't hold him back. He didn't stop him. He didn't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And he ended up getting his life in trouble.
Yeah.
So most people, like when they say you have an idol, it's really something you worship more than God. And it's not, so I'll give you an example. Your marriage could become an idol,
Yeah.
but really and truly, the person you're supposed to be worshiping is the Lord. Because your wife can't get direction. She just as lost as you. You
Yeah,
get where I'm coming from now. And hence the reason they could go down her path. And hence that's what God basically trying to say, right?
Yeah.
God wants us to love each other and have a sense of awe and respect for
Yeah.
each other. I don't want to train the word worship because it
Yeah.
would seem, but
Yeah.
he wants us to have that kind of admiration towards each other. But he don't want us to be in a place where that is our source of
Yeah.
life and everything. So hence the reason the Bible tells us don't have any other gods before me. Don't bow
Yeah.
down to this and worship it. Because the Bible says covetousness is really idolatry.
Yeah.
It means that
True.
people who you're just pursuing things, and it's really it's form achieve. People can just it's really about the self, and it's really a form of idolatry. How they're
Yeah.
building up their life. I'm a doctor. I'm a this. I'm a that, and they become their own god. They catch where I'm coming
Yeah.
from now, and they are more valuable than God's opinion and His ways.
Yeah.
And so that's just a point of view that I think it's important that we all understand that God desires to bless us in the worst times in
Yeah.
our life because He does it to the wicked.
Yeah.
When you were wicked, he blessed me in many different areas of my life when I wasn't a believer, because he loves me. And he's not my enemy. That's one thing I come to learn in life. God is not my enemy.
Yeah.
And he for me in life, and he want to help me overcome in many areas of my life. You know what I mean? So it's important we come to that place where we can understand God that way. And I think God showed that to the disciples. He showed them. He took Peter and he told them, cast in it on the other side. And they had like bountiful fish that they never had before, right? And then he told them, follow me, I'll make you a fisherman. And what God was trying to show them is, in your life, you bring it to a place where you are fulfilled. Yeah, if you catch where I'm coming from, that you where it is you never sit down and saying, well, I wonder if I could be a great fisherman, boy. He brought them to them where they were fulfilled in their life, and he caused them to be blessed moving forward. You catch where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So never in their life they had a sense of lack. Never in their life they had a sense of wonder. They believe they left something behind that they know they could have done, but they're doing something greater.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's important that we have. It's just a weird way personally we could view God. Like, you know, God don't want to, but then also sometimes God could hold back something from your life, because he could see how he could destroy your life, basically. You know what I mean? So it have situations like that where things happen where it is the children of Israel did not enter the promise.
Yeah.
You know, they went wrong for a long time. Many of them died out. Things happen. You understand? Because of what their actions, how they were believing. But God was feeding them in the wilderness. He was always trying to help them somehow. But they couldn't connect to the love of God. You know? I don't know if you want to, I think that's someone.
Well, before you go to that, Joseph added to his question, he specified, sometimes before we receive it, we already make it an idol. That's what I'm referring to.
Okay.
But he's saying that the thing is already an idol before you even.
Well, what I would say concerning that, I would say Judas is a good example. Jesus chose him as a disciple, knowing he had an issue, knowing he had an issue specifically with money, and put him in charge of the finances. What I would say is that God sometimes even...
That's a bold statement to make there, but go ahead.
Serious?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
That's making an assumption. What I mean by that, right? Yes, you could assume that he knew that, right? But that don't necessarily mean God was operating that way. Yeah, what I mean by that, that's why I would make clarity, right? Most people think to deal with Judas, he was born for that purpose and taking away his decision making. You catch where I'm coming from?
No, what do you mean?
All right, some people, they say Judas was born for that purpose and it had to be fulfilled, and he was the one who's going to betray him, and they take away personal responsibility from his own actions. They don't view here's how people view prophecy, like it happened, God said it's going to happen. No, people don't understand God. Prophecy is also God outside of time seeing events, and but still people's will making a decision. You catch where I'm coming from now? Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is, like, Judas had an issue where the money was concerned, right?
Yeah.
But God was speaking to Judas. And it's clear that even before Judas betrayed Christ, Jesus say in front of everybody, this person who I'm going to go to is going to betray me. And Judas had times and moments to repent. So if God was actually pleading with this man not to do this, and I think that even you might have an area in your life, you might be a man struggle with loss. God still want to bless you with a wife. But, and God, it's like sometimes he between a rock and a hard place. Like, I want to give you this band where you're going to possibly destroy it. But I would say, in the case of Judas, it was obvious God gave him an opportunity. He knew he had weakness, but God was hoping that Judas would have had faith in him and overcome. Judas sadly didn't do it, but I would say somebody who is in a situation where they have an idol in their life, God does speak to you and try to help you and try to correct you where that is concerned, and
Of course.
it's really up to you to be obedient.
Yeah.
But I don't think God necessarily, as you were saying, put Judah, he there to betray me. I think God, he actually loved him.
Of course.
He loved him. And it's unfortunate what happened.
It's decision making. So it's, like I think Lisa saying, yeah, what read Lisa comment?
Yeah, Lisa, good night to you, Lisa Beckles. Lisa says, God gives us things because he is a good father that gives good gifts. But we can make them an idol of these things. Positions, resources, people, etc. that he has blessed us with.
Yeah. But also too, pursuing certain things could hinder your life. And it's not like where people want a man so bad.
Yeah.
And God want to bless them with a man, but they're going off on their own. And now they can't even hear from God. They catch and end up in, they get themselves picking, choosing the wrong person. They're not hearing God's opinion because they so want to have a man. Also, too, people can set up religious things as an idol in their life. Where they think, well, there's my portion. There's what I'm going through. And they think, and that is what they really wish. They really know God. So hence the reason they put limits on God. And God cannot bless their life in certain aspects of their life because most people think blessings is fall from man in the sky. That's how most people view blessings. It's just fall and they're going to land in the lap. They don't understand they have to go into the promised land and take it. They don't. So they many times don't think to get in a relationship, right? The person who doesn't fall. They don't think they need to fix themselves. They need to carry themselves a certain way. They need to, adjust in certain aspects of life. They don't think that is what requires. So most people don't understand the requirements that it requires you to be listening to God's opinion, adjusting your life, hearing him, being led by his spirit, Because being led by God's spirit means you're still doing something. You catch where I'm coming from, right? You're still changing, you're still doing something in your life, putting off our mindset, doing something in your life,
That is something I realize more lately, especially going through certain challenges. The Bible says faith without works is dead, right?
Yeah.
It is a fact that God has already provided for us. But if you believe in God, sometimes they require certain things for you to do on your part. And that is something I think I was ignorant about. I used to just be passive where it comes to what am I to do? And I realized I lack wisdom. And sometimes wisdom is what could help you receive things from God. And
that's basically what James was meaning. He said faith without works is dead. You can't say you believe God for something and not acting on it. Yeah. You catch what I mean? You had some part of your actions had to add up where you say, you know what I mean? Because Jesus tell him, man, go and wash your eyes. He had to act in faith. He didn't just sit down and say, my God, he walked it out in his life and he went and washed his eyes and he could have seen, even so in certain blessings of our life, God wants us to hear his opinion and listen. So give you an example, right? Abraham entered in the promises because God told him, leave your mother, and it's quite a step of faith, right? Leave your mother and father's house, and I'll carry it and I'll show you. He didn't know where this place was, right? But he took a step of faith and he listened to his voice, and that's the point I'm trying to make. Believers, we're called to be led by the Spirit of God, and he would lead us somewhere. Just like how you could go to school and they would lead you in our path to go and study this, study that, and you would get your, Abraham is one man I admire because, think about blessings. He was so blessed, producers. He was so blessed online. When he come to decision making, he said, he tell Lot, pick whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's when you have faith and you're blessed. He not sitting down and watching land and seeing which one looking. Most of us, when you're poor, when you're poor, that's how you think. You say, well, I'm going to take the nice car. He's saying, boy, wherever I go, God going to bless me. Yeah. My blessings don't come from the land I go and them kind of different. Yeah. My blessings come from God. And I want to get to a place in my life where I believe that. Where my blessings come from God. You catch what I mean? Wherever I go, I'm blessed. Like, that's where I owe my heart and my position to be in life. Where it is, my God don't sleep. I just said that for somebody inside here, guys. But anyhow, you want to take it away, Eva? You can read the last comment and let me switch it up a little bit.
Okay, so we have Lisa Beckles. Lisa says, it just struck me that even poverty could become an idol, where if you have a belief that poverty equates holiness, you can hold on to and idolize your poverty.
Yeah, that's something taught.
Something you
There's certain religions that teach that poverty is a sign of holiness.
And I think you mentioned something along those lines just now. Mindset. So we're gonna start off with the video first.
Nice.
David, you ready for us? Should I call your name?
He called my name, boy.
David is a nice man, guys. Nice single man.
When you're 25, you can be an idiot.
Yeah, let's throw up the video. Right now, we just see it. Anyhow. Oh, gosh. Hey, my partner.
When you're 25, you can be an idiot. It's no problem. Even when you're out in a job search, it's like, well, you don't have any experience and you're kind of clueless. It's, you're young. It's no problem. That's what young people are like, but they're full of potential. Okay, well, now you're the same person at 30. It's like people aren't so thrilled about you at that point. It's stuff like, what the hell have you been doing for the last 10 years? Well, I'm just as clueless as I was when I was 22. Yeah, but you're not 22. You're an old infant, right? And that's an ugly thing, an old infant. So part of the reason you choose your damn sacrifice, because the sacrifice is inevitable, but at least you get to choose it.
Did it cut up in the end or something? Oh, okay. I thought
That's probably the way it came true.
that's part of the point I was making with depression.
Yeah,
That's
a lot of these
growing up.
things that I actually kind of want to touch on here, we kind of touch on it to some extent. But
You take it fresh, let me hear you.
part of my reasoning for this is
You're not
see-
25 again, eh?
I see a lot of, should I say this generation now, where they and nothing is wrong to me personally with enjoying life, because I think you can enjoy life and still be responsible at the same time. And I see now, I think especially because of where I'm at in life, where I'm older now, and I see how decisions that I would have made in my earlier part of life would have affected me now, and it could have affected me in a positive way, and it could have affected me in a negative way as well. And I think this is more just to I think it's important that we really internalize things. I feel like when you're young, you're just so consumed with living and anything is anything, and you feel like, you know what, I have real time. I in my teens, let me just say, like in your 19, 18 or your early 20s, I have plenty of time. And to be quite honest, even people tell you that, because even I find right now I borderline old, right? I get in there, and people, when I tell people certain things, they still say, "Oh, you young."
How old are you?
29.
You still even 30 yet? Go ahead.
You see, so look, he just did
But
it.
just saying that.
I
that
know,
mean
but
that,
still.
yeah.
But the thing is, my 10 years, I had a decade between 20 and 30 where I could have done certain things in my life to set up myself for my future, for my husband's future, for my children's future. You know, so
You did it, but go ahead.
but
That's a
to be
different
quite honest, I guess I could be kind of hard on myself. So I personally feel like I could have done even more, to be quite honest. So people might look at certain things in my life and say, but you will do, because I think Mark kind of discussed those things in the past. I don't want to go into those things. But I personally believe that more could have been done. And if I had done that then where would we be now? Where would Mark and I be now, Kyle? Where would you be now? Because I love you too, right?
You didn't care when you up, but go ahead. See what I feel? You're laughing all words. Go ahead. We don't talk about that, right? But go ahead.
Oh gosh. So I have some points here that I really want to highlight. Some of them I might go into a little more. And I think one of these starters, I'm not saying, guys, that you shouldn't enjoy your life when you're young. Because trust me, you continue to enjoy your life. People think, okay, when I get old, life is over. Life not over. You can enjoy life even more when you get older, because when you get older, you could potentially have the money to really enjoy your life. When you're young, most times you're not balling, you're not shot calling. So one of the major things I think could help you at an earlier stage in life is setting certain goals. Realistically, your goals that you set now, it may not be the same when you actually get older. So those things may change, and it could change, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it at least sets you on a path where you could achieve certain things, where it's like you're setting yourself up for success. Even finding something that you're actually passionate about, because when we look at the world now, right, we kind of touch on that as well, where you have access to so many things, and technology, where technology was and where it is now, even in my lifetime, technology, that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Technology, it gone clear, right, and it's only going to get even better. And I think we have an opportunity now, younger persons have an opportunity now with these resources that they have to do things that somebody like, no, I'm not going to say me because I'm not that old. like other people that other people may not have had the opportunity. And I see younger people now having so many skills, and like for example on nail tech. Because everybody have this thing where the corporate world and you go and you do this 9 to 5 thing. Why nail techs make proper money?
Big up to Jordan.
Big up to Jordan Bloom. Well,
She was to be on the
Bloom
show, but she on Tobago.
Big up to Jordan, because you can make proper money being a nail tech and you managing
she
your
book
own
out right through.
time. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you're trying to get onto your nail tech. You have to make an appointment in advance. It have certain services. Every time I go, I make my appointment then for the next one, which could be the next month and that kind of thing. And that just goes to show you how those things, it's in high demand now. So you don't have to limit yourself to a 9 to 5. Nothing wrong with 9 to 5s, but you don't have to limit yourself to those things. And to me, because of the way the world is now, you could have a passion and actually pursue your passion. Because I think the way life could have been to some extent before is you might have a passion and you feel like, I really can't do this because I don't really have a market for that. But now, it have a market for everything. Literally, everything it have a market for. So, don't limit yourself. Know what your passion is. Set your goals. One of the other things that I want to touch on is minimizing debt. And as I go into that, I'll go into something else as well. Not being too
There's a
consumed.
banker talking about it.
Not.
She wanted to come and take a loan.
Not many bankers to take about loans.
By the way, big up to Diane from Chicago. Go ahead.
Hey, good night to you, Diane. It's so awesome to have you here with us. So debt, limiting debt. A lot of times younger people, they go into debt because they want to portray a certain lifestyle. All year, you don't need to portray no lifestyle to nobody at all. Cause later on in life, not even later on in life, when you portray whatever lifestyle, you put whatever front, when you go home is your backside to catch to pay for whatever lifestyle you trying to portray. For example, scrolling through TikTok, sometime I telling Mark, you correct me with the figures because my memory not always the best. But a certain car dealership, they were given
If you're making like 5,000.
if you're making 5,000, you could purchase a car from them, and the monthly installment was what, 2,500?
It was like 28.
28.
Yeah.
Worse yet.
Like more than half your salary, though.
How?
Yep.
Guys, these people are out here to get rich. Okay?
Yeah, because they can't pay to come and take the same car from you.
Exactly. How you have a salary of 5,000 and qualifying for a vehicle of 2,800? Is it that you sleeping in this vehicle?
I guess it must be saying when you're young, you have nothing to
You
pay.
have no other responsibilities,
Yeah.
but that's not the way the world is now.
I know.
So guys,
So, but I also have a question before you continue with that, right? Do you think people could get in debt young, but to make more money? Like, they should maybe start a business, do something. Like, if they're going to take a loan,
yeah.
maybe go and do it to make more money or something rather than just...
Of
That
course.
good debt and bad debt.
So actually, I
Yeah.
can touch on something with
Because I would
regards to
say,
that.
like, when you're young, that's maybe one of the best. People really do learn in school about financing the proper way,
No,
because
you
when you're
don't.
young, that's maybe the best time to take if you want to take a mortgage or something.
Yeah.
Because the mortgage will not be very low.
All those are things I have here to touch
Oh, okay,
on.
sorry. Yeah.
No, but you can go ahead with
No,
my-
just because it's somebody
Of
idea
course.
debt like with Flamin, but then that's one. And
Right.
like the other side of it, like start a double sum. And then you're okay, when you're young, you can afford to fail, you know what I mean? When you get older, you're sure they can't afford to do
Exactly.
certain things. But when you're younger, you could test something and you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, some years to recover from your foolish decisions, but yeah.
Even with credit cards, people take out credit cards just so that they could buy. You're shopping on Amazon, you're shopping on Shein, and it's just for yourself to portray this lifestyle, to make yourself look a certain way. Guys, instead, use these things and build. You can build wealth, build your life instead. Exactly as Kyle says. So I will get into some details here with
Nice.
myself personally.
Hey,
So I
the
took a
balloon.
loan. How old I was? 19, 20. When I purchased the car. I was probably in
About 20.
somewhere around there, right? Early 20s or like 19
Yeah.
for the youngest. I took a loan And I had no car at that point in time. And I took this loan to purchase a vehicle. And I made the decision, instead of buying this car and keeping it for myself and paying a loan for a car, I chose to make it a work to own. But the person just used it
I remember
because
that.
they couldn't qualify for a loan, or they didn't want a loan. Whatever, I don't care. What you use it to do, at the end of the day, it was an investment. And the way I said that, I shouldn't go into these kind of details, yeah. But anyway, too late now. The way I set it up was so that the person could pay me back, and I make 100% profit on this vehicle. And I did. I purchased the vehicle at whatever price, and I made 100% profit at my 20. Let me say 20. At 20, I made 100% profit. If you had to take a loan and do that instead. And I even continued a certain level of discipline after that, where, so basically the person write off the car, but I had a contract, like an actual legal contract with the person. They write off the car within 3 months of having the vehicle. And basically, when I got back the money from the insurance, I was able to pay off the loan, and I immediately paid off the loan. Guess what? The money that I was making from the guy now was strictly profit, because I paid off the loan. I could have taken that money and spent it, but I had it separate in an account, where I just had it separate in an account. Obviously, I used it later on in life.
Let's not get into that part.
Yeah, let's not get into that part. But guys, do not limit yourself. You have to think outside the box. And to be quite honest, that idea not even so outside of the box. But there's things that we could do. I think a lot of times people limit themselves, where they say, well, I can't do something like this because I don't have the money to do it. You literally have to think outside the box. Talk to other people. Maybe somebody will be willing to invest in you. Maybe you have some skill and people willing to invest in you and say, okay, show me that you can do something. Create a business plan. So my thing on that is to really push yourself, and don't allow the way the world is and life as it is right now to cause you, or friends and a certain look, to cause you to put yourself in debt, or cause you to waste money. Quite literally waste money. I went through these things already. A lot of times, even when I was younger, I think people could obsess over relationships. And you had to have a boyfriend, you had to have a girlfriend, and that's like your main focus. Now, I mean, those things are natural, but trust me, those things are going to come. A relationship, it will come. I mean, yeah, a relationship. It makes me think of people.
Yeah.
But anyway, a relationship will come. You don't need to dwell on these things. You don't need to idolize these things. You can focus on your relationship with God, to be quite honest. Yeah, focusing on a relationship with God at that stage in your life, it blesses you tremendously. It blesses you beyond measure. It will bless you in your personal life, in your relationships with, whether it be your family, your friends, in your work. It sets you on a path for success, and this is literally what we're going through here, right? A path for success from in your early ages. Sorry. Another thing is focusing or allowing yourself to, if you can, invest in certain things at an earlier stage in life. So, for example, Kyle mentioned it as well just now. When you are older, a mortgage, it's a lot more money, guys. Your installments, your monthly installments, I don't know, it could potentially be like 4 times what it could have been in your earlier stages.
Honestly, things so bad. If it is, when you're younger, you could actually afford to take out. If you could get to the place where you could even get help, or let's say you have a certain income coming in and you're making more money, you could actually afford to take out a higher loan and buy 2 places and let one property pay for the entire thing.
Yeah.
But when you get older, you can't do them shipping. It's
can't
because
do it.
your loan now sometimes $5,000-$6,000 your mortgage.
Exactly, your mortgage. So you are limiting yourself because you're so consumed in your earlier stages in life to live this certain life and just enjoy and this, that, and the other. When you could be making investments, you could be setting up yourself, your family, whoever, for a successful, easier life, a happier life. Mortgage is one of those things. Insurance is another one of those things. Now, I don't believe in all types of insurance, so that's another story by itself. But insurance, if you have to take out a mortgage, you're gonna have to have insurance. And the older you are, the higher your insurance is gonna be. If you're gonna borrow money to purchase a vehicle, you have to have insurance. Sometimes they demand that you have certain types of insurance, like fully comprehensive. It's gonna be even more money. So these are things to think of that I think sometimes people don't sit us down in our earlier stages in life and really get into the nitty-gritty and say, hey, if you don't do certain things now, it is going to be harder for you later on in life. Even if you are at a later stage in life, though I'm not saying it is impossible, but it definitely is harder. Even investing in things at an earlier stage in your life, it pays off for you later on. And when I say later on, I mean it could even be earlier. So for example, for me, because I invested in that vehicle, flipping it, whatever, I was able to use that money to do certain things for my family personally. To do certain things for my family personally.
Amen.
If I didn't do that,
Family is important.
if I didn't do that, Mark, then how we were gonna start?
Yeah,
You understand?
you might have been more in debt. But
I would have been even more in that.
Yeah.
I would have been even more in that, yeah. Because I take it for something else, whatever.
But yeah.
Another thing is sometimes when we focus on certain things, I notice now that younger people, they tend to put off marriage. Now, I mean, this can kind of go both ways. Nothing wrong with getting married later on in life. My personal view on that is getting married at an earlier stage. When you get married at an earlier stage in life, because I think people think they have this view of marriage like it is the end of your life. But marriage adds to your life. Well, my marriage added to my life.
Yeah.
My marriage added to my life at least. Despite me saying depression and things came. Just now.
No. Add to my life, add some depression. I don't want to depress my entire life until I get married.
No, but it definitely adds to your life. Having kids. And when you set up yourself at an earlier stage in life, you are able to bless this family. That because when you go into a marriage and you already have debt for stupidness, it does make the marriage harder, guys. Debt in a marriage for stupidness, it makes your life a lot harder. It makes your marriage harder.
I just wondering, like, what would you consider stupidness?
Having a credit card that maxed out and you have nothing to show for it, you're just buying foolishness. You're buying things that you don't actually need. And
Right.
that's where this whole thing stems from. Buying things, being so consumed. And I'm saying don't shop, don't do a little thing here and there, but I'm saying don't overdo it. Especially in the early stages, and that's a lot of times what people do in the earlier stages in life. They over consume these things, especially the way social media and stuff is now. You say the word handbag and you open your phone and you see a handbag popping up on your phone. It's just the way the world is now. What's your idea of shippiness, Kyle?
Who is my idea? Stupidness?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was one then. Like,
Okay.
but like those things I guess you're saying, like, and then I guess people who
Oh.
gamble and who just are like, they gamble and they have a high debt. And I'm gonna shippiness. That is, you know what I mean? That is like,
You know what people that take out loan for TV? I want a TV in my room. I taking out a loan to buy a TV, or you take out a TV on hire purchase. No, a TV is not a necessity. You don't need to take a loan to
but
buy
I
a
wanna
TV.
watch football. We're talking about.
No, you can watch it on a smaller TV. Save up the money. Save up your money
But wait, no,
and buy
fellas
cash.
coming.
No, well, wait. You gotta wait. Right? Because if you had made certain decisions a little while before, you might have been able to buy a TV now with cash.
Oh, okay.
A vehicle, sometimes you go and you buy a vehicle, you can't even pay to maintain. You take the loan, you qualify for the loan, and you can pay the loan comfortably. When something has go bad in a vehicle, when there's something going in the vehicle, you're holding your head and you're boiling because you're going and you push yourself, what's he saying?
Put your hand
You
where
put your
can
hand
reach.
where, True, that's it.
Yeah.
Wherever, wait to
Your
see.
hand- your hand carry.
Wherever he
Put your
just
hat
say
by
there,
your
right? You go on and buy this vehicle to portray a certain look, a certain lifestyle. You want to look fancy. You want girls to come or you want boys to come just to look a certain way. And then when something going wrong with your vehicle, you can't afford to fix it.
Read easy. It's idea of shippiness.
That make any sense?
Yeah,
That
man.
don't make any sense.
Read easy is idea of shippiness. What you
Easy
say to
rate.
him.
Have thousands of dollars in car audio. Huh. Maybe close to 100,000, lol. If my wife only know, you see, that is a real good one though, easy reach. Real young fellas. That is a perfect one because young people
That's
love
where they
hard
spend their
porn.
money.
That's
That's
where
where people they spend their money in a car or even buying Jordans and $250 $300 for a Jordan.
Yeah, you imagine, think about this, right? You reach 30 and what you have to show for yourself is a wardrobe. A wardrobe with the latest brands. No.
Yeah, can't gain no weight, you know. All that clothes, no weight.
What would be my situation? No, guys.
You still have more to talk about? I just wondering. I have a question I want to ask you.
No, yeah, you can go ahead.
I want to, well, I don't know if it's done. Yeah,
I
done.
have
Go
more
ahead.
points, but you go ahead.
No, I just wondering, nothing to do with that point. I wanted to know, like, how, I understand what you're saying, like, about these things, right? But why would you say, like, some young people, not like that? Why would you think a lot of young people maybe not, you know, as being active, more mature, if you want to call it that, or whatever, like, in
It
the
could
area of, like,
be-
say, money and, or, like direction, or, like, we're talking about with marriage, like, why you think, you know, what's one of the reasons you think?
I think one of the reasons is literally this: you never had somebody to sit you down and say, these things, these decisions that you are making now, it is going to impact you for the rest of your life. No matter how small it might look now, it is going to have an effect on your life later on when you reach a certain age. I think even parents, seeing your parents or having some guardian, somebody, some leader in your life, seeing the way they handle finances or they handle different things in life. I think those things set an example for you and you can see, or even a struggle. Sometimes your parent mightn't be able to show you how to do these things, how to invest and but they're struggling and you're seeing your parents struggling and you're saying, hey, I don't want this for my life. I don't want this for my children's life. Like, for example, where I got the idea of doing the car rent to own, it was actually in one of our camps, in our church camps. This was in Manzanilla. Kerwin had this. Kerwin had this session. Kerwin is our pastor. Kerwin had this session where he was talking about finances, and he said, "Why don't take a loan for a car?" And something clicked in me at that point, and I said, "It's true. Why can't I take a loan and buy a car and do this?" And I did it, and it worked for me. Now, everything isn't going to work for everybody the same way.
People want the iron clause, they get the want a contract. That's what they want on life.
Everything doesn't work the same way for everybody, but you have to apply yourself. You have to take calculated risks. Mark, you want to comment on what Kyle asked?
What's your thoughts?
have-
Like, why does you think people, I mean, we will affect you?
Yeah. For me, basically, I didn't know nothing at all. And I tell you, I honestly, I'm a special case because I didn't think any girl would ever like me. I never thought that I get married. And I just really had no plan. I just wanted to live. But now, you know, you watch generally, you don't have nobody teaching you in school or anything about preparing yourself to buy a home. What does come at you a lot
these
now?
systems that you will is designed for many times for them to be,
Well, what
to
I
put
was,
you in their treadmill, kind of like,
Yeah.
go ahead, yeah.
I feel like it's very easy for you to be a consumer the way everything is set up. I think what's come at you a lot is car loans, you know, taking a loan for a car. You could get a loan for many things, to travel, to
real.
yeah, people take loans for vacation, loans for carnival. So and you think why buy a house for? When the time come, I just rent, and you know things are a little bit the way it's set up. It's kind of easy to survive, and sometimes too you don't know a better way. How many families
Like,
the
it's that we're
parents is
coming with top point
yeah,
where families, you know?
it's like a business orientated thinking Because sometimes even me, I would put
Well,
certain
like
ideas.
business like purpose. Like it's
Yeah.
more like there are some people who might come from a more background of a lawyer, doctor, and they had to do. They had to take out loans for study.
Yeah.
So they have a more idea of where to maybe achieve certain goals in
Yeah.
their life,
Yeah.
kind of like, you know what I mean. So, but that where her point really come from parents and like.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like-
think for me too, the challenge with even thinking about having your own business or doing something like that is just think, that's so risky. Let me just go to work. You know, you might feel maybe fearful to take a risk, or within yourself, you don't even see yourself being somebody that could do
have a
something.
fear?
Yeah. Like I could own a business or I could start something. What if it don't work out? What will happen to me? That kind of thing. So fear is a part as well.
And I think like one of the things I guess is purpose, and I like to one of the ways they can recover certain things when no matter where you're at in life right now is really from discovering God.
Yeah.
And you allow him to really help you put purpose inside you, get some direction, like how Eva talking about like with marriage different. Because I'll be honest, when I was young, yeah, you just because I know father really active in your life, and so you're just living for pleasure, you're just living in the moments. Like how I can't understand it because I never valued carnival like that. But I could never understand how somebody would take a loan for a costume and them kind of I could have never but people just do those things because they find pleasure. They find that's their 1-2 days in their life.
Yep.
There for the whole year.
Imagine you take a loan for 2 days
Yeah.
for a costume for 2 days.
And that is what people say. That is why when I put all my energy and that's it's like almost like purposelessness. They have no vision. They have no you know, they really find pleasure in real things of God. So I think it's important that for young people, I think one of the things like I said, parents is a big important one. Mark was saying fair, and I think also you had to really recognize God in your life. You know, because I think at a young age, like think about it, like even wherever you come to a camp, you hear thoughts. And really from God trying to help us, and He gives us wisdom, He gives us ideas. Because there's some people who come from the worst backgrounds with no parents, nothing, and somehow they still succeed, they still overcome, they still something in their life drive them and push them. You catch where I'm coming from now. Like one of the not to go back down to our favorite president right now, right? But I was actually talking to my father-in-law. I don't know if you're watching, big up to you.
Yeah.
And I was saying, you know, we talk about like with Trump and different things now. And I was saying, as bad as people make Trump out to be, right? You don't find it interesting that Biden children like a crackhead and this, you know, they say he's take crack, you'll take. And I'm saying, you don't find it interesting how his children are, and it's not like,
Yeah,
I mean, everybody have problems, but all they make this man to be this big villain. But his children they don't come across like this kind of way, and they seem proper. If you ever see his young son, because Trump wasn't born into money, right? If you all know, is really, you work hard, do different things, and come to a place in life where you had do certain work ethics, you had certain different things now. Nah, not like how he was a billionaire.
Yeah, he took a loan from his father.
Well, yeah, so you want me to see...
I gave him $1 million to start a business.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right.
It was a
He was
an
an immigrant, though. He's an immigrant that comes out of America, not so?
Yeah.
Trump.
His dad had money. His dad was a real estate mogul.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I'm wrong. I didn't know that. But my point is, he had to figure out things on his own with money, though. He make a lot of loss. He went into debt, and his children saw certain things. And I sure they had things he would teach all of them with mindsets, and they grew up differently to how a lot of people. And then you watch the other side of it, how this one on addiction, this one on, and I just find it interesting. Now I don't know if you want in the next one on coke. We don't know what their life, because obviously there are certain people who hide things and they don't know what is going on in their life, right? But it's just interesting how sometimes they could raise up people and they could just be different. You catch where I'm coming from now? You know, you raise children up, you raise, and they could have a different mindset if you catch where I'm coming from, right? But yeah, I don't know if you want to go to, before we continue, you want to go to some of the comments?
Yes, let me go to somebody comments. Yes, we touched on Easy Rage comments. Let me see. Junior Roberts, good night to you. Junior Roberts says, good evening. I believe that when you talk to God about making decisions, like investing in certain things, let God guide you. Let me see. Diane Vasek. Wow, all this my husband and I considered and acted on. Back in 1962, we knew we wanted to get our house, not rent forever. So we saved for a down payment. In 1965, had saved enough to buy the land we liked. And then the builder used that as down payment and our bank gave us the loan. We were a young couple, early mid-20s, wow. and chose to not go partying around, not using charge cards everywhere for everything. Only thing we owed money for was a used car we had, needed transportation. Is at the end of the comments? Yeah, I think it is. And that's exactly what we were talking about. And even in Trinidad now, I mean everywhere, but especially in Trinidad, when you look at the cost of a property, with or without a house on it, it is crazy. It's mad. You have to have
Because
millions.
in the 1960s, there was 2 strawberries on a plant for a lot of land.
So guys, imagine if you are now starting off life in your 30s or in your 40s or something, where you gonna be at if you, because I mean it's more than likely that you're gonna have to take a mortgage to purchase property. If you don't, bless the Lord. But if you have to take a mortgage at that stage in life and for that value, how are you really setting up yourself for success? And these are I want to encourage you all to ask yourself some real thought-provoking questions. Now, where am I going to be when I'm 30? What am I doing now to set up myself or set up my family? And I think another thing that is affected with that is a lot of times now when people do reach that stage and they decide, okay, I'm gonna get married, you go into a marriage, and I did touch on going into a marriage with debt, but you go into a marriage with no sense of responsibility. So now you creating this issue in our marriage, and sometimes those things, in all honesty, certain things only come up when you actually are married. So for example, we touched on that earlier where I said one of the first times where I actually felt that sense of depression was when I got into a marriage. It doesn't mean that I didn't have any challenges before in life, but it's just marriage, it brings a whole new life into the picture. So when you prepare yourselves in your 20s or whatever the case is, you are setting yourself up for marriage. Okay, why are you shaking your head like that?
Not Keelan, not you.
Joseph Melville, he says, I know I'm mad. He quoting your song.
A song for a particular institution.
Yeah.
Oh,
Big up Mark, big up Joseph.
Yeah.
Easy Rage says that's a stupidity. I'm not too sure with what we were talking about at that point in time. Keelan says plenty people would blow that $1 million and not be able to make themselves a billionaire. It's true. And all of that goes back to having certain goals and being responsible with money. Whether you have a little or whether you have a lot, being responsible with money, being responsible with your time, being responsible with whatever resources you have. Another thing I wanted to touch on, I kind of wrapping up here. Wrapping up here is just not doubting God and really being willing to take risk, calculated risk, of course, taking a leap of faith, because God wants you to succeed. God wants you to have, I mean, like you touched on that just now with certain religions believe that you should be poor. God wants you to succeed. God wants you to have money. God wants you to be blessed. And when we are blessed, we can be a blessing to others. And there's this thing that Dave Ramsey says where he says, live like no one else now so that you can live like no one else. And that simply means make the sacrifices now, guys, so that when you reach a certain stage in life, you could live like no one else. So you're living like nobody else now. So you're watching the other people your age, and they're doing these things. They're spending all of their money on all these unnecessary things now, so that when you reach a certain stage in life, when you're married or whatever the case is, if that's your thing, marriage or whatever, you could live like no one else. You could bless your family. You could bless others. And I think that was the major stuff that I wanted to touch on. And I promise you guys, it is going to be rewarding. It is going to make your life so much easier, so much happier. It's going to take away certain things, certain struggles. Kyle or Mark, have anything you wanted to say?
I just want to say we need the wisdom of God now, especially as inflation in Trinidad and America. And if you watch like in the 1960s, 1950s, what your salary was and what was the price per house and land is way more expensive now, you know. So it's a blessing as a parent to give your children a head start, and you as well. We had to be a little more strategic now due to the challenges. So we really need to be focused and apply the wisdom of God as soon as possible, as young as possible.
Amen. I would just say, like Mark said, use some wisdom in life. You know, I'm not a prosperity preacher.
Yeah.
I'm not a prosperity. But it's just interesting. Everybody who followed God in the Old Testament was blessed. You know what I mean? Everybody, all these saints, all these, you know,
Yeah.
they were rich, they were wealthy. God blessed them. It's part of his covenant to us, right? That he want to. So I think you're young or you're old or wherever you're at. You know, the time, you know, the Bible says time and chance happens to all. So no matter where you're at in life, you feel like life, you waste your whole life, time and chance, there's an opportunity again for you in your life. You know what I mean? There's always an opportunity. Is you have to seize that moment and run with it. You learn along the way. One of the things helped me in a little conversation we have, and I just remembered. You know, I sit down here and have that whole world in thoughts in my mind, because I think to myself, when I used to work in Farfan, right? Before earlier stages, I used to import things and sell, you know.
But I was remembering now, I remember you tell me you had shoes and all kind of thing this
And many used to be buying it, and I saying to myself, why I can't do that now? Why I can't figure out something and figure out how, and I know how I went through a whole to get to that place. It had failures, because the first set of shoe you bring, some of them, no, the second time you buy it the first time it was good. The second time you come, to one of the two, it was Air Max, the bubble bust thing, you lost. But the kind of money is making back from it, because you know how much man was paying for Air Max then? 12, maybe more now, because them thing more expensive now, right? But people was paying me $1,200 for Air Max, and I was paying like $200 or something, $250 for the shoe, right? So my point is this, right? I can see, I say to myself, like, what, you know what, block that hustler mindset, that will help, you know what I mean? Like, what say when I say, because there's some things I want to do right now, and I say, all right, I get the confidence, I say I could figure it out and, you know, do it, you know what I mean? Now, obviously, when you get older, you have more risk, like we talk about, right? But with God with you, you help you. But the other point I was really trying to make with this whole idea of, you know, helping you maturing and different things in life is important. They allow people to, you learn from people too. You learn, you know, you find somebody like a mentor, you find somebody could, if you don't have that in your life, you know, because, you know, it's interesting. Like you're talking about, like we're talking about business, different things like that, right? The young people, some of the youngest people in certain parts of the world right now are millionaires because of where technology carrying is the young people who understand, and they getting themselves involved in AI, they getting themselves involved because they know well where the direction going, where things happening, and they see the money coming that way, right? Like who would have thought some years ago some of the richest people that actually in the world right now overtaking celebrities as YouTubers, like influencers, especially like you. It means that like young people now, right? Who's Leonardo DiCaprio and them want to see Kai Cenat, them want to see that is their celeb, that is the people who they want to, you know, see, and there's opportunities in the world today to make money beyond what it is you're thinking. So like how sometimes, I'll give you an example, right? Long time, I still have in the world today, right? People just had to hustle 2 jobs. There's some people who now could actually hustle YouTube or like a content kind of thing and still have a job. And you understand that, like when they go home, that is their second hustle. They do whatever and they build their life. That's how a lot of actual smaller YouTubers start up, and then they get 100,000, like they get to a place where they have 100,000 subscribers, and now they get a good enough salary to help them do other things in life. You understand where I'm coming from, right? So it's important that you open up your eyes, you think outside of the box, you allow God to help you. And as you do it, you would see opportunities. So I'll give you an example. Right? One of the highest paying jobs, I know for a lot of people, if you want to figure it out, and it's something you could do from your home in your house, is to do with AI. You learn the type of jobs that are giving you the opportunities, and you realize, whoa, I could go and learn that. And you could do it. And it's something you could learn online. Because basically what we're going to do is replace so many things that humans do. So, you know, like, creating AI videos, creating different things like with, you know, like scripts, different things. People pay people to do
because I
jobs.
think for like even projects, like if you have an assignment or something, you could go to AI. My friend was telling me, and tell them what you want this project to be about, and they're doing it for you. You know?
Yeah, because most people don't understand it's actually a skill. Well, I mean, it's a skill, right? Even though it is an art, I'll give you an example, right? Think of an AI like you. What I mean by that, right? If I ask you the right questions, you give me the right answers. Yeah? I can't just say, well, where's the blueprint of our house? I had to give you the correct question and you will tell me the correct. And that's the skill.
Yeah.
The skill is figuring out what they call it a prompt.
Yeah.
It's figuring out what the prompt is to give the AI. Remember, they pull in all the information. So they might just give you a draft of a basic concept. But if you could ask them the right questions,
Yeah.
you will get the right answers. And that's the skill in it, actually, is figuring out what the prompt is. And that's what people paying money for. People pay money to buy a prompt to use for like different things in their businesses and whatever. And that is where people learn. And sometimes I just be whole day sitting down typing and again. So you would see that with imagery. You know, like I might say, well, design this for me and the AI create an image for you. No, if you could figure out how to actually learn the correct prompt and to create the correct ad, that is where you get money from.
Yeah.
So it's a skill. That is where the skill is. The skill is no longer let me learn how to design and no, the AI doing everything for you, right? So it's you now have the skill now to tell the AI what to do, and that is where people are getting paid right now money for that. And if you look Google, you can actually Google it right now. You're listening. Look at the salary for somebody to do with an AI, and you would see how much money people make doing something like that. But anyhow, guys, I don't know if it's how one just easier out here selling OnlyFans have plenty of money and it makes sense because of the global warming. I don't know, you know, we don't promote the type of OnlyFans we're talking about. So. Yeah, as actually,
Well,
you know,
what he actually probably talking about is fans, because he talking about global warming and people need
and that's what he's talking about. But that's
fans
what he's
to
saying,
probably
OnlyFans,
keep them
but he's a
cool.
wood yeah. But anyhow, guys, it was nice having you all. All the people who join in next is not this week, the week after, going to be the next show. We look at it, we're gonna have our next guest. So I encourage you all to, right? If you all see something that you all like us to talk about as well, you could put it in the inbox like a video or something, and we could bring it up, and we could just have a quick talk about it and share our input or something like that. And you know, we could give some feedback, because I'm sure you know, every day, because of media, you go on TikTok, you go on something, it has something somebody teaching or some belief system or something you see that you maybe want answers for, you want to have a discussion about it. Like maybe it's a Christian thing, right? Where where you're seeing the $1,000 line and you might want to hear what's our opinion about believers paying to get healed, and you know, and we would discuss it. Well, if we could we could do it. You know, I mean, if we could discuss it, if we know how to, we know what the problem. You know, we can know. You know, once we have a little idea of what it is, we could be able to have a little discussion about it. You know. I might be skilled enough to talk about world economics and, you know. But anyway, you want to say something before we head off?
No, just I saw an interesting video today online with a woman born with no face. She just have a mouth and a forehead, and I find that was real interesting. Like,
She have no eye, like
no
sockets?
eye, no eyebrow, just a mouth.
So she
And
born
a
deformed,
forehead.
kind of like? That's right,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Through she mouth.
I don't want to say
She
I
have no
can breach her
nose,
mouth.
nothing, you know, but she have ears. I
Forget to get rich
say,
for
wow. I say, wow, that was very interesting.
But most likely, the way technology is now, if she could do something to put her nose, you know what I mean? Like
True.
to, you know, to put, maybe not, you can't get eyes, but to
Yeah.
put the nose, most likely technology could develop a nose, eh? Oh, okay, cool.
I think so. Once internally, I think certain things there, she should be able to.
Because people is doing plastics.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, obviously, a nose, the purpose of a nose is not just this way you see it here, is more going on the inside that causing your nose to function.
If she
So
get
that's what I'm
cool,
saying.
you know, there's a lot of questions I had, but yeah.
Anyhow, guys, y'all have a blessed night.
Yeah,
Thanks for being with us for so
thanks.
long. I hope you all have a great night. We out in Jesus' name. Later, guys.